Hello and welcome back once again to After the Credits. Today we're talking about Kong Skull Island. So what did I think of Kong Skull Island? Well, when I first saw the preview for it, heard they were making another Kong movie, I was like, well, it can't be any better or worse than the last one. And we haven't seen Kong in a while, we've seen a few Godzillas, so, maybe it's time for another Kong. And it's been said for a while they're going to eventually tie it into a Kong versus Godzilla film, so that's down the line somewhere. But overall, I was like, again, it's the origin story of Kong. The people go to the island, find Kong, have to fight Kong, realize that he's actually not the evil monkey that they think he is, and he's just killing them because they're attacking him, blah, blah, blah. And I actually pointed this out to an associate of mine who was kind of hyped for it. I kind of said, I'll probably watch it, but I'm not that hyped about seeing it. And, of course, they kind of blew up at me saying I was negative about it or whatever. And it's like, no, I've just seen Kong done like 17 times now. Same with Godzilla. It's like every time they redo Godzilla, people don't like it. It's like the last Godzilla film they made, they're like, oh, Godzilla wasn't in it enough. And it's like, if you go back and watch the original Godzilla film, he was barely in that one too. He kind of hid until the very end. And then even like the shitty one they made back in the whatever year it was, like 2000 or whatever, that Riff Tracks covered a while back, even that one, Godzilla hid during most of it, only really appeared at the end. That's what Godzilla does. It shows up, they know it's coming, they prepare for it, it shows up, wreaks havoc, and that's it. It wasn't until the later ones when Godzilla kind of became the defender and started showing up more frequently in the actual movies. So when people looked at Godzilla and like, oh, Godzilla was only in it at the end. Yeah, that's what Godzilla does. Go watch the original Godzilla movies and you would know that. You would probably appreciate the new Godzilla more because you finally understood the old Godzilla. So going into Kong, I kind of thought the same thing. I've seen Kong, I know how it goes. People are going to go to this island, they're going to find Kong, they're going to fight Kong. Kong's going to turn out to not be a bad guy. He's going to fall in love with the woman, blah, blah, blah. The only credit I will give them in this one is they didn't do the shit where they take Kong back to New York and he escapes and goes up to the top of the Empire State Building with the woman and gets shot down by the helicopters. Obviously they can't do that because then Kong wouldn't be alive to fight Godzilla in the future, right? Which I don't think was that ever explained how Kong came back from that? Because Kong was killed, but then Kong fought Godzilla. But then we did have Son of Kong, so maybe that was the Kong that fought Godzilla? Oh. But anyway, in this movie, Kong is the last of his kind. It actually shows, they didn't show the death, but it showed, a simulation of the death of his parents and that he was the last of his kind. And it even shows his parents' skeleton where they are on the island. So, basically, they go to the island, and they start bombing the island just to draw Kong out. And, of course, Kong comes up in a rage because it turns out there's these lizard creatures that sleep under the ground because the earth crust at that point is hollow, so it's like a hollow earth theory movie. And there's monsters that live in there. And when you start bombing the ground, it wakes them up and gives them places where they can get out. So Kong is pissed because now he has to go fight them so he can defend the people who live on the island, which is all explained later in the story by the guy who does all the films with Will Ferrell, who's not as funny. He's in this movie. As soon as I saw him in it playing the old captain that's stuck on the island, I was like, oh Jesus, there goes this movie. Turns out he actually wasn't that bad of a role in it. Basically, he was a World War II pilot who landed on the island, ended up seeing Kong back then and running away from him, and was taken in by the people of the island and has lived there for 28 years before this new expedition comes in, and now here's his way home, if they survive. So he kind of does all the exposition explaining who Kong is, what Kong is, and why they shouldn't be afraid of Kong, and why they shouldn't be attacking Kong. But of course you got Samuel L. Jackson playing that one crazy army general guy who is part of the military escort, who just kind of snaps and he's like, yeah, I gotta kill the giant monster for no reason other than I can kill the giant monster. And he ends up getting his whole troop killed because he wants to kill this giant monster. And they keep following his orders, and it keeps resulting in more and more death, which is what set him over the edge to begin with, is some of his people died, and now he wants revenge on the monster. All you're doing is killing more of your people. Why don't you get your troops home safely and get off the damn island? So Kong fights off these giant lizard creatures that have come up out from underground. And they keep kind of saying that these are the small ones, and when Kong's not around anymore, or when Kong's disabled, that's when the big one will come up and they're going to fight. So the whole time you're thinking, okay, lizard creatures, and the big one, the big lizard, the big lizard, the big lizard. They keep talking about this big lizard. Okay, so by the end of this movie, Godzilla is going to show up, right? He's the mother of all these creatures. Is that what this is going to be? Thankfully, no. Basically, Kong has this epic battle. They don't do the whole love interest with the woman thing. They do kind of show him when he first sees a couple of the humans out in the jungle. He kind of approaches them like he's going to attack, and then he kind of sees the woman. He's not quite sure what to make of her, so he kind of just stands there, and then he doesn't attack her or the guy that she's with. So they don't really do the whole love interest thing, just kind of he's peaceful towards women because he knows they're not aggressive, I guess. And if the guy is near the woman, then he doesn't attack the guy either unless the guy attacks him first. And like towards the end of the movie, the woman gets knocked unconscious by an explosion and ends up in the water, and Kong like reaches his hand in and pulls her up to save her, and then just kind of leaves her on the ground where the guy is and walks away and like looks back over her shoulder to make sure she's okay. So basically that's how the movie plays out. Kong kills all the military people except for the ones that don't attack him. He fights off the giant lizards at the same time, and then he just kind of goes about his business, and they make it off the island. Then we cut to the after credits scene, which is kind of spoiled by the credits themselves, because as the credits are rolling, once you get towards the end, it says Godzilla, King Ghidorah, Mothra, and so and so and so and so all appear courtesy of Toho. And it's like, okay, obviously they weren't in the movie, so we're going to have an after the credits scene where they're introduced. So definitely stay for after the credits, because it does lead into what the next film is going to be. But even then, it doesn't really show actively Godzilla or these other creatures. It just kind of says Kong isn't the only great beast that exists on this world. There have been reports of others, and it kind of shows like these cave drawings of like Mothra next, like this giant moth next to these tiny people, the multi-headed dragon, and then it kind of shows a more detailed representation on a cave drawing or like this little clay figure or something of Godzilla. And it's like, okay, the rest are kind of cave painting-esque, where they're just kind of like done in white chalk or whatever on the cave wall, so you get the gist of what they are. Godzilla is done in like immense detail where you can like see all his back spikes and everything. And it's like, okay, why is that one so detailed while the others are kind of vague? But then again, it could have been a picture someone took based off of the Godzilla movie that they just did, where they took a black and white photo of him walking through Tokyo or what, I don't know. But yeah, so if you didn't know there was an after the credits scene or what it was going to be, the credits right before it happened kind of spoiled it, because they said Godzilla and these others appear courtesy of Toho. Like, well, they weren't in the rest of the movie, so I wonder where they're going to be at. Oh, here they are. Oh yeah, he's not the only great beast on the planet. There's others, and we're going to go investigate them too. So yeah, I'm not going to go into too much more about the movie other than that. It's kind of, if you've seen Kong, you've seen Kong. But like I said, I do give it the credit that they don't go into the love interest with the woman, and they don't take him back to New York and do the whole Empire State Building thing, or take him to New York and then take him back to the island or any of that. And I do like that comedy relief character guy, whose name I can't remember, not Will Ferrell, didn't ruin the movie, because he wasn't playing a hugely comedic character. He was just kind of playing, I'm this guy who's been stuck here for 28 years. There is some other backstories in some of the other characters that they don't go into, which is a little odd, because they like keep building this up, and then it's like, okay, yeah, so we're just going to like kill this guy off and not really finish off his backstory about what happened to him and why he's here to begin with. So yeah, there's minor issues with that, but overall it wasn't bad. So like I said, I give it a little bit of credit, but at the same time, it's Kong's origin story again. Can we ever make a Kong movie where it's not his origin story? Can we make a Godzilla movie where it's not his origin story? Like I said, I'm just kind of burned out on origin stories. That's why I like that Marvel's not doing them as much anymore, except now they're doing origin stories again with Doctor Strange and eventually Black Panther and so on and so forth. But we'll see how that plays out. Anyway, so what I give Kong Skull Island as far as a star rating, I'm going to give it a 3.5. Like I said, it wasn't the best movie, but I give it credit because it didn't do a lot of the cliche things of Kong. But at the same time, it doesn't get a 4 because it's Kong's origin story again. Tie into the Godzilla thing, again, if you're going to do an after the credits scene, don't ruin it with your damn credits. Just kind of like, here's an idea, make it a mid-credit scene, so then like later on when you get to the end of the credits and it says these characters appear courtesy of Toho, you didn't just ruin what your end credit scene is going to be. Or, you know, like cut into the credits, like right before that appears, then cut back out of them and have it go, these characters appear courtesy of Toho, black screen. Simple, right? So yeah, I give it 3.5. It doesn't quite deserve to be a middle-of-the-road film because it was actually fairly decent. It's just, I've seen Kong's origin story. The Samuel L. Jackson character was kind of pointless, but I give it bumps because of them not doing the cliches and the not Will Ferrell guy not ruining the film with his piss-poor comedy. He was just kind of a straight-laced character, so I give him some credit for that. So yeah, Kong Skull Island gets a 3.5 from me based on those points. So that's it for this episode. Again, as always, thank you guys for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, share the video. Links are in the description. Click the bell up here in the corner. Make sure you're getting notifications every time I post new content. And until next time, we'll see you after the credits.